Joining me to discuss that and more is Yaценюk, former Prime Minister of Ukraine between 2014 and 2016. Arseny, great to speak to you this morning. Thank you for joining us here on LBC. The news from Kherson, it's very, very positive and it's very significant, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is a huge victory for the Ukrainian military. And we actually showed to the entire world that we can prevail. And on the other hand, this is a huge humiliation for a Nazi-style ruler who is Putin. Let me remind you that a few weeks ago, Putin, in a very pungent ceremony, illegally incorporated a number of Ukrainian territories, including Kherson, as the part of the Russian Federation due to the fact that he illegally annexed this territory. And as of now, just in 3 weeks, he completely lost the control over Kherson, and the Ukrainian flag is right now wavering on the Ukrainian soil. So that's a very big victory for Ukraine, and not only for Ukraine, but actually for the entire free world who supports Ukraine.
Tell us about the significance of Kherson as a city and why this strategically is such a big moment, Arseny.
Not sure that it's easy to explain to your audience what Kherson is really about, but this is one of the key hubs in Ukraine. This is the only province that was controlled, the capital, I would say, of the regional province that was under the control of the Russian military. And the fact that they lost Kherson actually undermined Putin's stance on the one hand. On the other hand, this is to pave the way for further reclaiming of the Ukrainian territory illegally annexed by Putin and Russian Federation.
And I think it's really interesting, the developments that led up to this. It has been, in some senses, a long time coming. The Ukrainian advances have been progressively getting more and more significant, particularly in the east of the country. However, is there a danger, do you think, Arseny, that there's almost premature celebrations? I know some Ukrainian officials warning this weekend the war is far from over. Is this a turning point? And just put in context how far there still is to go when it comes to driving Russia out of the entirety of Ukrainian territory?
I usually stick to a very realistic approach. And what it goes about Russia, look, I am not to underestimate Russia. And the reality is that the war is really far from over. We did unbelievable. That Russians expected that this would be a lightning military operation and Ukraine is to fail just in a few days or in a few weeks, and that the unity of the free world is to collapse, and no one is to back and underpin and support Ukraine, and that the West is not ready to impose this kind of severe sanctions, and that the Western world and the United States will not deliver as much weapon as they have already delivered. So there were a number of miscalculations, but let me put it this way. Russia is still armed to the teeth country. They still possess a lot of Soviet-style arsenals and armaments. They gain every single day. Could you just imagine, every single day? Russia is financing its war chest with the oil and gas sales. It's around $1 billion per day. So they have enough cash. And that's an issue for all of us, whether sanctions that have been imposed by the free world are as effective as we expected. Russia has a number of allies, both under the table and explicit one, like China and those who buy Russian oil. Have you seen the data? For example, India and even Egypt started to purchase an unbelievable amount of Russian oil. And they resale part of this oil. They resale. Then Putin believes that he can sit on the fence, waiting what's going to happen with the Western democracies, due to the fact that the winter is coming, very high inflation, the energy and the gas prices are soaring. You guys know better than I what's happening in the UK right now. True. So he believes that this could somehow fraction and undermine your resilience and your political will to support Ukraine, which I don't believe in. Because we are fighting not just for Ukraine, folks. We are fighting for you. We are fighting for your security too.
And I think people here recognise that, Arseny. I think people recognise this isn't just a fight about Ukrainian territory, it's a fight for certain values. And of course, this morning here in the UK, people are coming together to remember the sacrifice of those who died fighting for freedom and liberal democracy in Europe. It is Remembrance Sunday here in the UK. But I guess the point that you would want to make is that people in Europe are still dying, Ukrainians are dying in defence and fighting for those same values.
Well, first of all, let's pray and commemorate those who died in World War I, World War II, and those Ukrainians who are dying on the battlefield and sacrificing their lives for the security of Europe and for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine. I really commend and I am very grateful to the British people. And look, and I want to be very clear and reiterate once again this message. I am very grateful to you. Because you have your own country, you have your own troubles, you have your own hurdles, but you decided to help us to save our country. And that's both emotional on the one hand approach. On the other hand, this is a very reasonable approach, and you stick to the values. So we can and we will defend this free world against the dictators. So our prayers and our hearts with those who died with their families, with the men and women in the uniform. And once again, let me commemorate those whom you commemorate in your Remembrance Day.
Well, I think a lot of people in the UK will also be thinking of the Ukrainians that have laid down their lives this year too. Arseny, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on LBC this morning. It was a pleasure to speak to you.